I'd like to call the meeting to order. And I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the February meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the minutes as published, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So carried. We want to first introduce our new student representative to the council. Roy has been shadowing Kyle during the fall semester, and now he is the president. He's been elected. I believe Kyle went on to Albany, if my information.
He went to Oneonta. That's where he chose to go.
Okay, very good. So, Roy, if you would introduce yourself and tell us a little about your background and all those good things. You can just sit there.
All right. My name is Roy Garrett. I'm a senior in the Ag Equipment Technology program from Remsen, New York, a little tiny town up by Utica. And I'm the acting president of student government right now, involved in a lot of other activities as well.
No, you're not acting.
You're official, I hear.
You're the president.
Oh, okay.
Remember?
So I'm now the president of
very rapidly.
Congratulations.
He didn't step back. Thank you for being here. You're graduating in May then?
Yep.
Okay. Very good.
And I have an internship lined up with Monroe Tractor as a precision ag specialist in Adams Center.
And how long ago did you know that, though? It's been, you had
a month and a half.
Yeah, he's had it for a while.
Very good.
Yeah.
I'd like to go around. Would everyone just introduce yourself so Roy has a fighting chance of at least knowing? We'll start with you, Anne.
Let's start with me. We already introduced ourselves. You have the same last name as my husband.
Oh, that's
okay.
I do not.
Okay. I'm Barbara DeCoco, and it's nice to meet you.
Good show, sorry. Eric Stein.
Retirement on juvenile officer.
Amy Healy, congratulations.
Thank you.
Susan Reitmeyer. Linda Cross, welcome.
Sue Zimmerman. Oh, sorry.
Cobleskill Black.
Sue Zimmerman.
We have to do pizza with the president,
I
right?
know.
He's on it. That's all I care about.
I'm always Scott.
Bonnie Martin.
Oh, Bonnie's back there.
Bill Kane.
He knows me. We went to Costa Rica together.
Oh, wow.
I did not go to Costa Rica.
Boy, what a spicy group we have this morning.
And Roy has a class at 9 o'clock, so I've asked him to make his report first, and then you can leave whenever you feel you need to go. So,
All right, thank you. No, I can't. Yeah. All right, so from student government, last semester we dealt with, there was an issue with the meal plans, so we're working with CAS to adjust it, maybe for the semester, and definitely for next semester, working on a better meal plan system for the students. We also met with, last Friday, the student assembly representatives. So they're like the student government of student governments. They are elected students that represent us at the SUNY level. So they came out for a campus visit, and they explained to us, we learned more about them, and they explained that they could help us. We're possibly thinking about doing a restructure of our student government to represent more students. And they can definitely help with that. You know, they can put us in contact with other universities and compare models within the student system. And definitely have our backs on that. And then they also have they put on 2 conferences, one in the fall, one in the spring, to develop leadership and networking. So we are planning on sending at least 3 people to that conference. That's in April, beginning of April. And then this year we're going to the American Student Government Association Conference to also learn more about other structures of government and help better ourselves So we haven't gone to that conference before, so it should be interesting. And that's in Philadelphia at the end of March. So those are some of the things that we're working on.
If I may, a little bit, Roy is an advocate, and he's demonstrated his talents at that in many ways. So it's been a delight to work with him already. I've been saying we need the students to step up more for themselves, and the whole idea of student bill of rights. Well, Roy has that ability, so I'm looking forward to just getting things going, and so I appreciate what you bring to the table.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
I'm curious about the meal plan. What kinds of things did you find problems with it? Let's just.
So last spring, Cash Corporation, they released this new meal plan that had meal swipes and flex points, and there was 1,000 flex points, up to 1,400 flex points, depending on the meal plan option. And a lot of students were buying cases of water, and they're clearing out the drink cooler just because they had the money, and they felt as if they were going to lose it, which isn't exactly the case. But a lot of students, there was 8 pallets worth of drinks outside Twisted Whiskers in that boat, where students pre-ordered drinks, and the vending machines. The vending service, the guy who was here, I talked to him, he went from restocking every other week to restocking 3 times a week. So, yeah, as student government, we sent out a survey,
Good for you.
and we acted on those results.
Yeah.
So.
It's what a student government should be doing, right, Ann?
All of us
Right?
in the United States should be doing it. Excuse me, but.
It's nice to start at home.
Okay.
Thanks, Roy. Okay, Mark, so I just have to hit that. Yep. So this was the video, and I apologize for those who have to turn around, that we showed at the spring convocation. And again, we thought the council would enjoy seeing it. It only represents our achievements from August to December. So we thought you would enjoy seeing it.
You may want to move back over a little.
Sorry about the sound, but absolutely. Roy, I know you have to go. These are for the council members because the rest of us will be getting them. These are the new brochures of our strategic plan, which you just saw. Thank you, Roy.
Yep, thank you. It was nice meeting you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. See you in April.
Thank you.
Yep.
Here, for the council members only right now. Just a couple things, and that's just from August to December, and doesn't include absolutely everything as you would imagine. But the other thing that we're noticing, Jim Feldman is watching who's opening up our information, who's getting what. We're able to track everything, as you can imagine. And when you saw the NPR article and how many, about 90 outlets picked that article up. But we're watching and we're getting on all of our press releases at least a 20% 5 to 10 minute read. Okay, we know how many are opening, like maybe 70% who get it, how many might look at it for a minute, and how many are reading it. So a 20% read is very high, and we're also noticing it's two people from the Wall Street Journal are watching us very closely, and we're watching. So we even know who's opening. So the reach of our articles and the press releases is going quite far, and we're being more deliberate on that, particularly with our new writer who started yesterday. So we have a huge campaign how to keep this going, and all those were picked up. Those were articles for the most part. They weren't just, our stories. So I think it speaks volumes. So I want to applaud Jim, I'm sorry he's not here, and his crew for this wonderful video, which is based on the vision, which is the vision statement to grow, to sustain, renew. That's going to be our, obviously, new tagline. Real life, real learning is now sunsetted. So we now have a branding campaign. So the entire strategic plan is on this brochure. And we worked hard for that, right, Barb? Yeah. So we're very, very proud of it. So.
Yeah, I think this is amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
And we're going to submit it actually for an award. So. Yeah. And that was done in-house by Jim Feldman and his team. So that's the kind of work we have happening in that area. Do you want me to just continue?
Yes, please do.
Okay. I'll keep my report brief because I think that says a lot there. But just to let you know that we finally can officially announce that we have received $1.6 million for the gasifier. The announcement came out on the Department of Defense's website, and it will, to build the prototype, to commercialize the unit, and it will be set up at West Point. So that is official, which we're very excited. That press release went out yesterday. So again, we're watching to see who's picking that up. I am also very, very proud to announce, and I'm glad Barb is here, is that from schools.com, the biotech program at SUNY Cobleskill was ranked second in the nation. Second in the nation. Behind, as I've teased the faculty, ESF, who doesn't count. So they're still second to none in my book. Pardon me?
It's all their old reputation,
That's right.
not their new
But two SUNY schools are 1 and 2 in the nation. So I think that's something to brag about. That just came out about a week or so ago. A couple other things. We have been meeting, Barry Gell has been meeting with the superintendents, all superintendents of the county. There's 7 school districts. He is now part of their team because we think it's important, thanks to the work with Sue and the deans, that we are at their table, and what's coming from that are really cool ideas and excitement, and helping from STEM to college and the high school to all sorts of really cool initiatives, summer camps, immersion programs. So we are now able to go for a whole host of grants that we couldn't before. They're finding them, we're finding them, and I think it is a good move. And this happened because of a grant we wanted to write. And I think you heard the funny story where 2 days before the grant was due, the Department of Education called us and said we weren't eligible as a consortium. Sorry. So we wrote back and said, that's not really fair. because you only gave us 2 days notice and you're changing, you can't legally change your criteria. Well, too bad, President Terenzio, we are anyway, so we took it right up to the Commissioner of Education, thanks to Amy's persistence, and we got it changed. So they stopped the RFP, they moved it forward another 2 weeks and allowed us to put in as a consortium. I think what we're finding, the role here, SUNY Cobleskill not only is doing our good work, but we're becoming more and more an advocate for upstate rural New York. I think the Institute for Rural Vitality has given us that platform. We have found our voice and we are being heard. And I think it's an appropriate advocacy role for SUNY Cobleskill to help the well-being and education of all students in the county. So just to let you know, we're out there having some fun with it too, right, Sue?
Yeah.
Dr. Ann Hopkins-Gross is leading a wonderful charge for us with a coalition. You want to just say two words about that, Ann?
Sure, it's the Campus Community Coalition, affectionately called C3.
Oh, I didn't know I like that.
Yeah, I'm always coming up with something.
Yeah.
So we have at the table the mayor, the chief of police, the chief of the fire department, there's more than that, it'll come to me, but Frank Lawrence, Matt Barney, and the team, Joe Batchelder, to partner together on...
Mike Piccolo.
Thank you. Oh, Mike Piccolo has been super helpful because actually one of our #1 conversations is around students and renters and educating students, and it's interesting, the group is quite sympathetic to our students out there renting locally. So, but we problem solve and partner, and we've had I think 3 meetings so far, and we've scheduled out the rest of our meetings for the rest of the semester. It's once a month.
Leo McAllister there too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Leo's there.
So it's been really productive, and I always think the sign of a good meeting is when it ends and people mill about trying to figure things out in pockets. So I think that's very enjoyable.
It has also allowed us to be able to pick up the phone and call when we're dealing with a crazy. You can't imagine the issues we're dealing with. You can't even imagine. And we have a really crazy one that was also threatening the village. So we were able to pick up the phone and deal with it immediately because we have this relationship and we're trusting each other in ways that are just very important for both the village, town, and college. The orange carpet event is when, Amy?
28th.
28th of this month.
February, yeah.
And we've changed it up in that we're honoring the mission, vision, and value statements, and have asked everybody to nominate whomever they want, including themselves, of how we've already demonstrated to grow, to sustain, to renew, and the value statement. So it's a different way of honoring the work here, to move it forward, and to really be a celebration of who we are. Council members can also, if you so choose, nominate, because you're part of us. So I don't know, did they get the email about that?
They should have. Did you all get it? Yeah. Yes?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay. The deadline's the 21st for nomination.
Yeah. The SUNY Senate, the faculty senate of the entire SUNY system has asked if we could, we're going to talk about it today at Cabinet, host the 2019 meeting. It's a very big deal, and we have to make room for 68 delegates, we're told, and Evelyn has the entire packet. We're very excited about it. Our only issue, and we have to figure it out, is lodging. And how we're going to figure that one out. But we're hoping to accept the wonderful invitation. Of course, in it they said, you know, President Terenzio will host, and of course, how'd they say it? In other words, I have to pay for the whole thing. So we're working hard. Barb, we're going to talk about it today at XCOM and see, you know, what we think.
I'm an alum of the last time we
Yeah.
did this, so
You know what
I know
we're up
what's in
against.
store.
Yeah,
And it's all about feeding them well.
we can do
giving
that.
them a good present.
We can do that. We can do
We
that.
gave them a very soft blanket. I still hear about the blanket 9 years later.
Okay.
And so we have to now.
We got to up our game. All right. So the lodging's the only thing that scares me. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
When
We'll
is
work
it, Marion?
January 17th to the 19th, 2019. It's the students are not here, I was told, right?
Athletes might.
Okay, but we're not dealing with the bulk of arrivals. Yeah. Okay. So I want to let you know that. And then on Friday, this past Friday, we held a forum on honoring our values statement. We're trying to get a handle on how to move ourselves forward with some of the incidents we've been dealing with across the semester and last spring. It's tough. It's tough. And we're also trying to talk about how to have different kinds of groups on campus, doing a lot about reading about academic freedom versus freedom of speech or freedom to speak. And it's going to be a tough conversation. And we have to do it. So more to come on that. This campus, I think, is ready for it. And how we're going to lead the way on this is going to be interesting. Scott Ferguson, who is our CDO, well, he'll start really in the official role in the fall, has already been invaluable with his thinking and advice and mentoring of me. So I'm very pleased that our new CDO is exactly what we need here. So I want to give him a shout out. We also have enrollment update. Let's do that first before the dashboards. Enrollment update. Tara put something together for us. We'll do a quick, as Tara's handing that out, we had asked, I don't know if we're able to get the Excelsior.
Yeah.
We have that too. Okay.
The Excelsior continues to be a moving target. It's not, we currently have 226 students who are getting awards, and that's a little bit down from the fall because students have to be on track to get 30 credits over the 12-month period. So some students kind of fell off, some students came on for the spring, but a very small number. The average award, it's hard to tell, but we have 74 students who are getting $5,500, 6 students who are getting the full tuition, which is the $6,470. 14 students are getting under $500. So there's a wide range of the awards to the students. There's some technical things that we're still working on, but Brian and Louise downstairs just continue to plug away to make it work as best they can.
Let me just add to that, and I know Tara's ready to go. Part of the issue, and we talked about this at this, I had a meeting at the State Department of Education after the governor's state address. And I said to them, well and good with Excelsior, and I said, I understand you're going to take care of the top $900 gap. He said, absolutely, the state covers that. I said, that's not what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to say the TAP gap of what the bottom 900, the 900 from the TAP students, you're not paying us back for that. And it's costing some of us $1 million a year. He stopped cold, and he didn't realize that. So I said, it's one thing to take care of those who have a lot of Excelsior students, like Geneseo does not have many TAP students. Those of us who do are also getting hurt. So at a budget conversation with the chancellor, I mentioned it again. I said, well and good, but you got to realize there's a burden with the TAP because you're not increasing TAP, but you're increasing tuition. And the other thing we made clear with Excelsior, even though there's a proposed $200 increase in tuition, that's not going to help a lot of the institutions with the TAP. It'll cover the TAP gap, but they keep thinking that we're doing other things with this money. There's no way we can. So I mentioned that to the chancellor as well. The other thing I mentioned, and then we'll turn it over to Tara, one of the budget items from SUNY is that they want the state-operated campuses that are closer to other states to be able to offer in-state tuition, what they said for specialized master's degree. And the tech presidents had a meeting, and they didn't catch that. And I said, it says master's, folks. It doesn't say specialized only. So at the meeting, once again, I said to the chancellor, we have specialized degrees like agriculture that we think should fit in that category, and it's not at the master's level. She was sweet, and she then said, I still have a lot to learn about the tech sector and how wonderfully unusual and unique it is. And I said, you betcha. So she's listening and understanding that there's something about the tech sector schools that we fill an interesting role, because I also said we're the community college for the county. And other tech sector schools said the same thing, and she was not aware of that role we play. So just to give you that quick update. Okay, Tara.
Great, thank you. So at the top of the enrollment page, what we have here is the current snapshot for the spring enrollment. And I have it juxtaposed against the last year's spring enrollment numbers. We had budgeted for 1950 coming in for the spring. That's what we were looking at. I had aimed for about 2,000 was what I anticipated we'd come in at. So we were trying to be conservative in our budgeting at 1950. This is based on our 3rd week census, which is calculated as of Monday of this week. So full 3 weeks into the semester, Monday of the 4th week is when census is calculated. So these numbers are based on Monday's numbers, 1995. So we really did well for where we, again, I anticipated 2,000, we budgeted 1950, so 1995 is where we landed as of Monday. So you'll see that we're still holding in terms of our number of students that are from out of state at 176, so that has a big budget implication for us in terms of, certainly our out-of-state students pay more. We have our transfer student numbers. That's usually our biggest population in terms of incoming for spring. So those students came in at 75 students. And what I wanted to also just draw your attention to is our PACE programs. Those are our degree completion students. Those are students who are place-bound at community colleges, and we offer the 4-year programs at the degree completion site at the community college. We're continuing to grow those programs. We didn't necessarily anticipate bringing in the number of students that we did at 18 new transfer students. PACE 18 contributes to that 75 transfer student number, but we were able to continue to do that this spring. We usually bring in larger fall cohorts. So the efforts of the PACE program were really to be commended this spring. So we have a total number of 94 students in our off-site 2-year partner campuses. It's a growing number, and we anticipate really being able to continue to grow that number.
Let me just add to that is we've already heard from Genesee Community College who wants to do something with the precision. Mohawk Valley wants to do more with ag business, and Herkimer is wants to do the second cybersecurity, right?
Yeah.
So those are already in the mix.
Yeah. And we're currently at Rockland and Hudson Valley, and we're just ending at Jefferson, closing out early childhood there. But that's where we're currently serving this population. So that's where we really are with spring right now. Below that is our current snapshot of where our applications for fall are trending. Some things I want to point out about the applications. You might look at that and say, wow, you're at 25% applications, which is, there's good news and bad news about that. Well, it's all good news, but there are some challenges with that number of the 25% growth. A large portion of that are EOP applications, and I think I mentioned this in the fall at our last council meeting, that there's an increase in the number of free applications for educational opportunity program students. So we have a significant number, as do most SUNYs, in the EOP applications that they are serving. So the actual number of acceptances that we have is up. It looks like it's flat or down, but we actually processed more acceptances this year compared to last year. We removed the EOP, the portion is up, our accept ratio is up. But the good news in that is also that we are up in acceptances in the local territory, which is nice to see a trend in that. We're up in acceptances out of state right now as well. Where we're down, you can see, is in our deposits are lagging a little bit. We're hoping to see that turn around. We're increasing our yield efforts in doing a number of regional events, but also our accepted student day programs, where we invite all the students who are accepted to campus, begin in just a few weeks now. For about 3 weeks they'll begin, and that does tend to influence significantly the deposits that come in. So a number of those EOP students have been, there's a 2-part process to that. They're found academically eligible, and they go through a financial process. So a number of them have already gone through the academic aspect. So the financial aspect is what they're waiting on that process. And that can be a cumbersome process for a lot of those students. So financial aid and the educational opportunity program are working closely to go through that process together. Some exciting things we talked about last year that are now coming to fruition. We received a grant, PIF funding, PIF funding through SUNY. So we have what's a mobile unit that was just purchased to really help bring applied learning to younger audiences. It'll have a really cool rack, basically as this mobile unit, and we'll be able to go bring demonstrations to middle schools through admissions. So that outreach will begin happening as soon as we get that. The van's been purchased, so that's in process. They'll start doing that later this spring. And the other thing that's kind of exciting is that Bern Knox just established an FFA program. So through that, we're inviting them here for a full day visit to really get all of those students that are interested in FFA there here on campus to work through our programs for a full day visit to get them integrated and aware of what's going on here. And then in the back, it's really just for your information, just so you can see where things are trending in terms of applications, where they've been received, how many have been accepted, state deposits, so you can get a feel of where applications are flowing in terms of by program. I know you like to see that information on occasion as well.
Thank you, Tara. Any?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think Middleburg is also establishing an FFA program.
We had counselors spend a full day there, not a full day, an afternoon there last week.
Okay.
They loved having her. They were, you spent all of the last week here, so yeah, Alison Applegate, the concert was there
Good.
last week.
Perfect.
Yeah, so did great. But thank you for that information.
Thank you. The other thing, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on this because you're seeing it for the first time, is we've been doing a lot of work on the dashboard that we're going to use for the 20,000 foot vision of how we're making progress on our strategic plan. The cabinet is in control of the dashboard, and we have asked for input from all across the campus. What I'm excited about is that we will be using this. This will be the information we'll be sharing with the council as to whether or not we're making our goals. And we have also put into legislation bylaws at the colleges that the cabinet has to connect with the FAST committee at least once a semester, but I've said we need to go more often. They're looking at the dashboards with us. This is a work in progress. We're not sure we have them perfectly set, so there may be a TBA to be announced. But the beauty of this is, so you've got the indicator of the dashboard. There's going to be now an assessment scaffolding in what we call Weave, which is our assessment platform. And every unit can choose which of the 5 initiatives they want to do based on the strategic plan, getting to the one goal of being an effective and thriving college, and how that data will build up so that we can see it at a larger 10,000 foot vision so that we don't get into the weeds. So if you flip over where it says, where you see yellow and orange, Tara is our guru on this and has taken this to extremely wonderful heights, to put it mildly. And so we're playing with it. And so if you look at the bottom where it says the key and current, right, Tara, we've been going back and forth with this. What are the 4 quadrants we want to look at? What's our goal, which is in the upper right? Where there's a SUNY value, we want to watch that because SUNY's been telling us we have to watch our own indicators. What baseline we want to start at so we have some idea of where we're going, and what was the past year. So Tara, what's a good one we should use to demonstrate that?
Absolutely. Well, the SUNY value is the one where we haven't popped those in yet because that was a thought that we're playing with. So there aren't blue ones, for example, just yet. But we can look at one that is a quantitative one that's fairly easy to look at. So if we look at retention rate, for example, for the baccalaureate degree seeking students. So that if you go under honoring our mission, which is in the
top right,
you'll see that the current rate is 72%. That's the retention rate for baccalaureate degree students. Because it's our first year, the baseline and the past year are going to be the same because we're establishing our baseline year. Okay, so the baseline, the past year and the baseline, we have the 70%. The goal, we're saying, okay, our goal is 72%. We're going to sit down and say, okay, maybe we're going to change that goal. We're going to say, no, we're going to up that to 78%. We really want our retention rate to be higher than that. But for right now, we can say, okay, was it a positive change or a negative change over the past year, the current year? Well, it was a positive change, so we've got an orange, Kobe, an orange thumbs up, okay? The SUNY value of 76% that I put in there, I believe that was taken off the dashboards, because that, I'm sorry, the scorecards that we put
The
in.
metrics, yeah.
That, what were they called last year?
The SUNY Excels.
The SUNY Excels.
Yeah.
Because there were some baselines that were put in, that were in there for across SUNY. So I believe that's where I grabbed that 76% from. So that's an example of how you might read that. So for some of them, they're pretty quantitative. And on the back, just so you know, because if someone was to just look at the front and just see the raw values, you'd be like, well, what does that really mean? What does that mean? If you look at, student satisfaction of 3.62 in the upper left-hand corner, well, what is student satisfaction? How are they measuring that? So on the back is the notes. So you'd say, well, they're measuring student satisfaction based on the response to the question, your sense of belonging on campus. 5 is very satisfied, 1 is very dissatisfied. So 3.62, okay, now I can get a sense of what that 3.62 really means. So for me, what I've really been focusing on is trying to get down what are the actual parameters and what is the descriptions, what do they really mean? And then we'll go and pop the actual values in. That's why the values aren't solid just yet, because we have to get those descriptors down to say how are we really actually going to manage.
So, and we're trying to keep it simple. So when the council asks how we're doing on our strategic plan, we're going to show you the dashboards.
Right.
Because that's the level that, so for example, under strengthening vibrant community partnerships, we put in the coalition meeting, and the minutes of the coalition meeting that Ann has may be enough, because we're working with them, versus REDC funding. We think is an important one to put in there to show that we are working with others to get those kinds of grants. So it's a moving target, but the beauty of this is we're having a culture of assessment, but in a way to say that this is a moving target. It's not made in cement, and we're doing the best we can to inform ourselves as best we know how. That's if we can get to that point, I think I would say we were successful. Okay, so everything's tied together. I think you're starting to see this where, it's right off the plan. Again, the plan is one goal, to be a thriving and effective college. So if you have further questions, we can talk about that another time, but we thought you should have a sense of the dashboard.
And I'm happy to, if anybody has questions, if you want to email me, I'm happy to answer any questions about this, or how we tie into it, how individual plans.
You don't want to know. Thanks, Tara. So that concludes my report.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask one question that's a little bit important here? What's the status of the greenhouse operations across the creek?
Oh, funny you should ask. We heard
Maybe
from.
I'm out of line here, I don't know.
No, it's moving the way it should be. The beauty of it, and I think also the challenge of it, it's quite complicated and involves a lot of people. So the good news is everybody's involved, has been excited about it and moving us forward. We just got something last night from Jason on the next step. Evidently, the group, which I will not name because we're streaming right now, has been in contact with some substantial players in New York State who are very excited of where we are. So the Startup New York application should be going in. Jason said he was going to get it in imminently, right? Yeah. So the next step for us is putting that in. The faculty input, obviously, from plant science, but the whole faculty time is going to, you guys have about is it a month? I don't even remember now.
I think it's 30 days.
Yeah.
30 days. So that will all start. Plus, we're going to do a public forum so everybody hears what the project will entail. But right now, it's healthy and quite on track.
Fantastic.
Would you agree?
Okay. Wendy's helping us because it's on CAS properties, so the CAS board is very involved with it. That's as much as I can say right now publicly, but we're very, very, very hopeful.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, Barb, faculty governance update.
Sure. I know we still have a lot of stuff on the agenda to accomplish, so I'll keep my remarks as short as I can be. That's a lot for me. The executive committee has met twice so far this semester. We're in our 4th week of classes, just started our 4th week of classes. So some of the items that you may be interested in is that based on suggestions from the Pathways Task Force, the faculty were asked to reach out to students who were either under-enrolled in their classes, meaning they didn't have a full-time load, or had not registered at all for classes. And the faculty worked with Tara to identify who those individuals were, find out what the particular issues were, and the advisors were each contacted to then reach out to the student. That seemed to net quite a good response from the students, where they had, believe me, it was not the first time they had heard from the college, but it seemed to have been the little piece that was necessary to really make a connection. And we were able to retrieve students who were on the fence, or just get better information as to where they stood. I think a good number of them were ready for internships, but just hadn't gotten their paperwork ready. And so that gave us a better understanding of what they needed to get done to get onto their internships. Tara, did you want to add anything to that, or?
No, I think
it was, I think, a pretty good use of the faculty's time. We did it over break. And again, these little, because we're a small school, we're able to do these things that a larger university wouldn't be able to do.
Correct.
So I can't undersell the importance of the faculty-student connection and how much that can yield, not only to the bottom line, but also to the satisfaction that students feel.
Thank you.
Okay,
We're working on plenty of other stuff. I'll give you an update in April.
okay, thank you.
Sure.
Foundation update, Tim?
Good morning. So some exciting news that the college has received a check for $1.6 million from the Gerald Snitsky estate. A second check in the first quarter of 2018 complete the gift for a total of $2.2 million. I think it's the largest gift we have received. Am I correct?
We'll be doing a press release on that.
So we're excited about that. In addition to the $100,000 annual gift that SUNY Cobleskill receives from the Columbus Foundation, this is a separate account that Jerry established for SUNY Cobleskill to receive in perpetuity. The Sprinsky gift first started with $162,000 that came in 2005, so I'm super excited about it. I know you're going to be talking about naming issues later, and I've already had some phone calls. Something this big got noticed, so I'd like to have something to take back to the foundation and alumni to talk to them about. The foundation will begin, we have begun working on our strategic plan. Now that the college is done, ours is matching up. We're excited about that. And then the foundation golf tournament will be June 15th. Hope to see everyone there. This year's honorary chairs will be Chet and Nancy Burton. Yeah, so we're excited about that. Athletics, again, will be working with the advancement, and 50% of the proceeds will support athletics, and the other 50% will support the Department of Business and Information Technology this year, so we're super excited about adding them. I'm also going to be giving the alumni report.
Yes.
On January 4th, the Alumni Association held their alumni mixer at the New York State Ag Society meeting. And on March 15th is the annual career event with over 20 alumni in various fields that will be coming to campus to share their current career paths with students. And then on April 20th is the Schoharie County, hope you see over there, the alumni mixer at Grapevine Farms. This is the kickoff event.
Where's that?
I know, it's a great little place downtown. This is a kickoff event to re-engage with our local alumni. And then on May 19th is the Golden Grad reunion. The years of 1968 and beyond, focusing on the 3s and the 8s are invited back for a day of reminiscing. That is short and sweet for me.
Okay.
Back to you.
Any questions?
Any questions?
What's the date on the grapevine?
Yes.
April 20th.
I believe it's I haven't spoken. I just got home myself, so I haven't had a chance to speak.
Oh,
much,
poor Tim.
The invitations going out to
Jim's designing the
Jim's
invitation
designing
as
them
we
now,
speak.
because I would like to make sure that all the
Absolutely.
perfect. That's my question. Thank you.
Okay.
That's it.
Chair's report. I've just listed some of the things here. The only, you can all read. The ACT breakfast, the SUNY State of the University address. This was Chancellor Johnson, first one. Thought she did an excellent job. She's entirely different than Chancellor Zimpher, but certainly intelligent and lots of ideas, and I'm sure she is all set to take SUNY to a next level. She certainly has the background to do that. The one thing I think that stuck in my mind and was that she is interested in all the colleges stepping up their grantsmanship, if you will, and so that's going to be an issue with her, I'm sure.
Yep.
Other than that, I thought she did a marvelous job, and let's see, Eric was there, and you were sick, so you didn't make it, and some of the staff, I guess. I don't believe any of the other council members made it, but it was a very, very worthwhile meeting as usual. And it was in the new conference center. The
Capitol Center.
It's quite a building. I prefer the old one.
Olive,
Yeah.
does she have any plans to really work on better funding for public colleges in New York? Because I'm going to say for all of us again, and I've been babbling about this for a number of years, so forgive me those of you who've heard it before. When I first came here, and there's even older than that, but when I first came here, we had 96% of our classes were taught by full-time faculty, and tuition was about $500 a semester. Students didn't have to go into serious debt. There's talk now about K through 12 being one of the rights in a democratic society that makes us different. It's got to be K through 16, at the very least. I got out of college with through a doctoral program, that's how old I am, with no debt. My husband and I could afford to buy a house. That was my first husband. I took his name, but so it was, I'm really serious. This is our obligation as citizens of this country, and not to wait for somebody else to start speaking of it, and this is the obligation of everybody on a public university college council. Public education has to be affordable if we want a good future for the next generations, and that means public higher education. I know Barb Rabbits and her husband, of course, they went to private, but
we did.
You did. But still, that people are going in debt and paying back for higher education for years, and then we wonder why things aren't going well. So I'm just saying, I think that's our obligation here, and for every college council, for every college president in a public institution, to start pushing for better.
If I may, you may want to go on the SUNY site, because it pretty much outlines her priorities, and one of them is stability, having help with the community colleges, having the trustees take over the building of the tuition, how to stabilize the state-operated campuses, how to get more money for EOP, how to help the EOC centers, how to help with a GAP program, emergency funds, child care for community colleges, mental health counseling, programmatic initiatives. There are at least, I didn't go into the detail, but there is a lot, and the chancellor is asking the presidents to advocate in a certain way, and part of it is to your point. And we get our marching orders from the chancellor. So the point is, SUNY this year is doing it very differently and pushing forward on lots of things you said. If you would like for the future to look at student debt, I think it's an important conversation. $1.4 trillion is student debt. However, when you break it down, it's not the horror story that everybody thinks. Most of the debt, unfortunately, are with students who didn't finish. And a lot of them are coming from the for-profits. We do have students who didn't finish, so they can't pay back. The average debt of students is about $27,000. And some folks and economists are saying, that ain't so bad. We have to decide as a society, are they debt-free or what kind of debt they can carry? The other debt that's in there are students who are still currently in college. Okay, so when you take those out, and we could do that, you could look at the story. And the highest debt are those who are at graduate schools at $100,000. So when you put it all together, it would be wise of us, if we're going to advocate, to look at what that means on the public side of the house. Because I hear you, Ann, and I would agree with you. And I think there's a lot going on that before we decide our tact of moving forward, I think we should understand what the debt really means.
Well, you and I have some difference of opinion on this, but the other part of this is, I'm not talking necessarily about official, I'm talking about individuals becoming aware of it as citizens of this country, and we have a special obligation because we are on this council and we are involved in education to become knowledgeable about it and to talk about the need to public, and don't say it's going to raise my taxes. Costs have gone up in higher education, not necessarily related to the number of people teaching the courses. And that's my other part. So there. And I will be quiet from now on. Thank you.
I think you'll fair more people to.
Yes.
If I may, I just wanted to point out to the President's point about the students who leave with a lot of debt. There is a program that was a pilot program that's now been fully enacted called Re-Enroll to Complete. And we are doing that, reaching out to students who left without a degree, who have outstanding debt, to bring them back to get their degrees so we can pay off their debt. So that's one piece of
If
the puzzle.
they get the job, that will pay.
But to get them to get their degree.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. Okay, just going to touch on the Planning for Prosperity, the Economic Development Strategy meeting that was here on campus. Again, I think that was very well done, funded by special funding that the county got to do this kind of a study, and the consultant was here and laid out the roadmap, if you will, for the rest of it. So it was hosted by the president and the was it the county administrator, and they spoke as well as the consultant. So I thought it was well attended, and everyone is hopeful.
Could I ask, where did the mailing list come from that was attended that meeting?
It was a conglomerate, let's see, the county, it was the county. As many private businesses as we could identify, the chamber. We combined lists. We try to get it as far-reaching as we possibly could. We had about 146. We only could hold 100.
The turnout was very good, but I have to tell you, I was very disappointed in a couple of things. There was very little agriculture represented in that room, for whatever reasons. I'm not saying they weren't invited, I don't know that. And farmers, well, anyhow. And there were an awful lot of business people that were not there.
Yep, they were invited.
An awful lot of people that should have been there that weren't, by whatever methods.
Well, the good news is that's not the only forum. Obviously, now Peter Fairweather is going to have to go. He knows he's got to go out rather than people come. But mainly what the forum was to say this is happening, get it out in the public, and to say that it's a new day. And you heard folks say, here we go once again.
Yeah.
But those who are not there, we have the list. Peter's going to go to the next step and he knows he's got to get as much input as
We
possible.
have to get a lot better enrollment or ideas than
Yeah.
what was in that room.
More
agree.
than half the
From
people
grassroots.
invited didn't respond.
Yeah,
Yeah.
More than half.
From grassroots, we need to take a lot of thought.
correct.
That's my only comment.
Well, and I absolutely agree, and what the college's role in that is, we are going to be sitting at the table, the steering committee table, so we're at the top of the chain. So is the Commissioner of Agriculture, by the way. So we'll see. You're right. I hear you.
I think Leo is very concerned that everyone is also involved.
Yeah,
and
he's
chairing the committee. Leo.
it's not really the college's initiative. Let me just remind everybody, we're a key player, and we'll do whatever it takes, but it's really a county initiative.
Correct. We knew that.
Yeah, I think I know Linda was at the meeting, Eric was there, Bill was there, I was there.
It's a good
You
meeting.
were gone. Yeah.
Just a brief comment. As you can imagine, there's a fair degree of skepticism in the room. I'm not a lifer, and I've been through 4 or 5 strategic, economic development plans that really haven't gone anywhere. And I think that was taken into account. And Peter, the consultant, said, don't look for fast results with this. This is a 10-year plan. And I think that's the first time I've heard a consultant set expectations along that way. The only, just an idle gossip, one of these days it'd be interesting to start an economic development plan or a strategic development plan. The first part being, what's the implementation plan? Because how many strategic plans die when it comes to implementation? So hopefully, again, the consultant will steer us all in that direction.
And if the greenhouse project goes through, that's going to be obviously the shot in the arm.
Absolutely.
We're not even sure there's going to be enough housing for them.
I'd say should go through, say will go through.
I hear you. Well, I talked to Sarah Goodrich to say, because she's trying to work on these zombie properties. I said, is there a way to connect that if this happens and we get the people coming in, that somehow we say, we're fixing up these properties, you take over at a certain cost, and then you'll have a house to live in. She thought that was interesting. So I'm trying to be creative with a lot of this, because I do think we're going to have a housing issue.
That would be
It would be a good problem to have, but...
Okay. You have in your material the SUNY Board of Trustees memo regarding the naming policy and procedure review committee. So this is another, we haven't heard much from SUNY about their naming policy since 2010. At that time, we were supposed to send in ours for approval. I think it was sent in, but nothing was ever heard from it. And we were supposed to send in an update every 5 years, which we haven't done. But we didn't hear anything from them. So this is another one, and I think Bonnie made the remark. By the time the committee gets together and starts reviewing them, and ours is supposed to be in by the 19th of this month. The time they start reviewing it, they will probably change this again. So I'm not too concerned about what we said to them. Okay, Bill was on the committee, and I'm asking him to do a little review of the proposal that came from the committee, and you have it attached.
I was going to say, did everybody get a copy of the file there?
Does everybody have one?
Well, there's going to be 2 pages. There's the nomination form.
There's some over here.
One's the policy.
Does anybody else know?
They were emailed when we sent out the agenda. They were, yeah.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Bonnie and Amy and Olive for getting behind all of us and kicking us in the rear to finally get this done. We have been working on this project since March of 2010. I hate to say we're moving right along.
No, Phil.
But anyhow, it's more of a question of getting it done than what's happened. So, let me use your copy just a minute. First of all, the committee that I just named, being Amy, Bonnie, and myself, we're working on naming of individual names and not buildings or grounds or spaces or trees or any other physical object. So this is just to recognize some people in the past that have made significant contributions to the college, and we felt that they ought to be recognized in some way or another, and you can see down through the minutes how we plan to do that. So hopefully everybody has read this, and if you have, please let us know questions, comments. I'm not going to sit here and read it all because you all are smart college people and can read. So does anybody have any particular questions when you look through it? Because we hope to start doing this relatively soon.
Phil, I have a question.
Sure.
In certain other locations, different college campuses or other philanthropic organizations, they have named a building or an asset after someone who then is disgraced in the public eye.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up with a building that's named after someone who could be synonymous with a bad character.
Right.
We don't seem to have anything that can rescind a named opportunity. We don't have guidelines for that in the current process.
Well, I don't know about that. You know, you can see that the names are submitted to this committee, if in the end that is the committee that we use. And of course, the president always has the final approval. So you're saying that maybe somebody later on ends up in jail for whatever reason, and this building is named the bar building, and you know, you end up in jail, well, we don't want this to be the bar building anymore, type thing.
I have an answer, if I may. First of all, this has to be, SUNY has to see this. Just this past week, the new general counsel of SUNY, Beth, I can't remember Beth's last name, has sent out just that. And so SUNY is dealing with it at that level of how we're going to, if we have to revoke. Let's see what SUNY comes out with, and I think the best thing will be then to tag on to that. Mm-hmm. So we may want to, obviously the minutes can reflect that once we find out what SUNY is suggesting, then we can just add that to here. So just to let you know that she's new in 2 weeks, and she's already has a policy out there.
I will say, these were just our thoughts. There will be lots of amendments that go along because we have not thought of every single consequence that could ever happen.
Right.
And so there will be, I can envision lots of amendments after we try it, use it, and see what happens. I don't think we're smart enough to cover all that today, but I think we're happy with the roadmap that we have as of today. And with the nomination process, we wanted to keep it relatively simple. We didn't try to find out who was a Cub Scout or a Girl Scout. We don't go back that far, but somebody who's made contributions to the college primarily. So again, questions?
By the way, this is an amendment to an earlier one that we did back in 16.
Mm-hmm. May.
So this is a revision.
And Eric made some suggestions, and I think we've incorporated those. Mm-hmm. Very worthwhile ones too, by the way. But, you know, we could all read it. We will all have a little different way of saying something or suggestion. And I'm very happy with what we've got here to get started with. And I don't know if this is the appropriate way to do it, but I would think so. And I would like to make a motion that what are we gonna call this, a non-monetary contribution, and we all know what that means. Again, there's no money involved, either from the foundation or any individuals. We're just talking about a picture, and that's something that we even have to resolve. We're gonna use portraits, pictures, black and white, color, size, you know, and we're not gonna have a wall that's full of all those different things. We've gotta come up with a plan.
Well, we have the purveyor of good taste committee, so.
No, that'll get taken care of, but the point of it is, there's lots of those issues to resolve. But anyhow, I would like to make a motion that our Cobleskill naming nomination form and I guess we're gonna call it, what are we calling it, policy be accepted.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the revision to the policy, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Well, thank
So
you for
carried.
your support, and I hate to rush right into this. You know.
So I want to thank the committee, though, and particularly Bonnie's leadership to get it done.
Thank you. If any questions or input anybody has along the way, please let us know, because it's not gonna be a closed society or any of that sort of stuff. We'll need some nominations before too long. We've talked about having dates for approvals, and we decided against that because we thought that a nomination could be placed in nomination at any given time and would be evaluated.
Okay, thank you.
The endorsement?
The new business council, college council endorsement of respect of all, for all campaigns. And I'm gonna ask the president to talk about that.
Sure. And there's two other pieces of items of new business I'd like to share after that. Jason Evans came to me in his capacity as the director of the Institute for Rural Vitality and has been working very closely with the county supervisors and their campaign, which is, as you know, Respect for All. And so you can see, it needs countywide endorsement. A lot of you have had the buttons. I have one in my office and the stickers. You've seen the quilt. A lot of what we do, we encourage businesses. It fits our value statement. The cabinet endorsed this in December. We'd like the council to endorse it. And what we'd like to do is start using the stickers at our retail store when it opens to actually say we're a Respect for All entity, particularly through the retail store. We think it's a strong message, and we'd like to use it in that capacity. And we thought it would be even stronger if the council endorsed the campaign on behalf of the college. So that's pretty much, Sue, anything else that Jason has said about that with you? No.
And Linda, you've talked about it before too.
Yes, and I'll make the motion that we endorse the policy.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion so carried.
Two other items. First of all, I thought I forgot to ask the provost to announce the two recipients of our sabbaticals for next year. So, Sue, would you like to do that?
Yeah. So in the fall, Dave Thompson will be doing some work with like language immersion. He's been doing a lot of work with managing multicultural workforce, and so this is going to help him to build on that curriculum and get some additional training for himself. And then in the spring, Christina Trees will be looking at alternative economic systems. Wow. So those are the two.
Want to explain what we're up to with the others and what we're doing?
With the fellows?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have, through the Institute, you might remember that for each of the centers, we have opportunities for faculty fellows. There's some funding that's been built in to support that. So we're about to send out letters to 5 faculty members who will be our first, I'll say our inaugural fellows for the Institute, which is really exciting. And their projects really span a broad array of topics. So they involve work with the local community in multiple ways, which is really exciting. They cross disciplines. So we've got great representation from across campus, and we have 2 additional applications that have just come in. So it's kind of a rolling application at this point. So we're in the process of reviewing those, and that's They're reviewed by the Institute Council, which consists of Jason Evans as the director and the deans and myself. So Jason put together a rubric that we use to review those applications. And then, so the notification is just about to go out, and we'll be able to announce what those projects are.
They're sitting on my desk.
Yeah.
The beauty of this is the Institute has done exactly what we needed to do, particularly when folks reach out to Sue or my office, or we're able to give it back to the Institute. So yesterday I met with the Iroquois Museum leadership, and they had 5 outstanding ideas, and I was able to connect it to say, this is who you'll call at the Institute, this is going to fit this. And because why Sue and the deans are at the table with Jason is because we want to connect faculty work. Who better knows what's going on with the faculty, with the chairs, and she talks to the chairs all the time, and the faculty groups to say, think about this. So it's all working the way it should, and it's spread out through the college, and it's the faculty-owned initiative. If they want to be a part of it, they can. If they're looking for funding, we find it for them, and it's just connecting beautifully with the work with the students. So I thank the provost and Jason for that good work. If you want, we could do another update on the Institute, because it's really going great guns. So thank you, Sue. The other thing I wanted to mention is Bonnie has been working fast and furiously with her group and the facilities committee to come up with a policy of privately owned animals on campus. We just wanted to inform you, this is not for your endorsement or approval. And as you can see, right, Bonnie, right, Barb, it takes forever to have gotten this to this point. And it's dealing with whether the dogs are service dogs, whether the dogs are part of our program, whether animals are how they're identified as emotional support animals versus service animals, so forth and so on. We've had abuses, as you can imagine. Not only that, because we are a farm, how do we protect our farm animals, and what do we say what animals can go in the barns, what animals can hang out in offices or not? So how many iterations?
Probably 15 at least.
More than 12.
Yeah, every time I think we have thought of everything, somebody comes forward with, well, what about miniature horses, or
which is written in the law. That's the miniature horses are written in the law. That's why.
Yeah.
When I saw Bonnie's title for the addition to our minutes, it said final. I thought, oh, Bonnie, you cursed us now. It's not final. It's never final. Like final version 8.
So this has been vetted with the farm, the faculty governance.
Not yet.
Faculty governance facilities committee.
Perhaps they met yesterday.
Well, they're our advisory group to this. So this is now, we're going to call it policy.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I just want to let you know. I mean, these are the things we have to deal with, right? So now, Barb, guess what? We're going to do children on campus.
Are they easier or harder
next?
Than dogs and ponies?
We don't.
I know it's
We don't know. We have no idea. Pardon me?
As long as they wear a collar.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Bonnie, write that down. Okay. Yes. So this is important, and I have a feeling somewhere along the line there is going to be a lawsuit at an institution on all of this. I guarantee it. But
Can I give you some student feedback? Go ahead, Eric.
I have one question. I hope this doesn't.
I hope so too.
A couple of places it talks about pets in student bedrooms allowable. Are these single occupancy bedrooms?
No.
What about roommate ones?
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
What about them?
Are they
So
ready?
there's conversations with the other students, where really the students,
Serious.
let's say the ESC, the emotional support animal, trumps the other student, really, right now. But that's why we're just waiting for the lawsuit.
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, the student with the allergy.
Gets moved.
Gets moved.
Gets moved.
Okay.
But here's my issue. Let's say they chose the room of their dreams. Somebody walks in with an emotional support animal. Guess who has to leave? The one who chose that room of their dreams as well. So I don't know. We as Ann knows, I have pushed our staff to the limit. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? because it's not just saying, well, we're going to read it this way. We've looked at it every way you can imagine, because it's difficult to get. So we've had a staff who has tried to be as creative as possible, understanding the limitations, and even to the point of being uneasy that we might be in territory where we might be liable, because it's unbelievable. So the best we can do, and Ann knows that, and so does the staff, and Tara gets it too. She's been a part of this. It's the best we can do.
The other iteration of that is two animals in the same room.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't get along.
Well,
Yeah.
well, we've already kicked out. We have kicked out an animal
Uh-huh.
who has misbehaved. So there are rules. If they don't, the students have to sign that their animals will be under control, and if they're not, the animal goes away. So we've done it. We've already done it.
It's a student leave when the animal left. Actually, the student
Yes.
did end up leaving.
Yes.
But to be fair, the student really had some significant mental health issues. So
Yeah, it's more to come. Story, animal stories get more interesting by the day, to put it mildly.
Just look
I
at
just
what's
wanted to give
happening
you
on the
some
airlines.
Yeah, right.
anecdotal feedback from students. I was here last night grading papers at 10 o'clock. Students were in the lobby studying and talking, and they were talking about their ESAs, their emotional support animals. And they said what we really should lobby for is having academic buildings with pets that are associated with it. So like you go into a bookstore and there's a bookstore cat, they would like a Wheeler hamster or a Warner.
Good luck with that.
Really, from a student perspective, this is enormously helpful. It is 4 pages of policy and 18 versions of a policy, and a lot more time than I ever thought I would spend on this. But it is very important to the students, and I think the word is getting out that we're ESA friendly, even though that's required by law. You'd be surprised what other campuses apparently do to try to stop this.
Well, if a campus should figure it out, it's us, right?
Exactly.
Because of our own animals and what does that mean?
Yeah.
And we should take this on, and we really are. But we have to protect the program animals as well.
Right.
So, right. So that's why the red stuff is Bonnie's team adding more to this. So, thanks for that, Barbara. So this is what we're doing.
Excuse me, I had one other question unrelated to that. And I noticed that some other campuses are doing it, they have a free service to help students do their tax returns.
I'm not an accountant.
The accountant reports to you.
We have a certified financial planning program.
Exactly.
Actually, no, we can look into that, and I know some people that do have free tax.
Can we look into that?
Oh,
We're going to look
Also
into
in
it.
the lounge, I heard a student say, I just finished my taxes, and I said, you've been sitting here the whole time. They said, I just did it on my phone in 5 minutes.
Because they don't do, they do the short form.
Well, short form, yeah, right.
That's a
You
great
can even
idea.
do- You can even do a 1040A as long as it's only scheduled. You can do a 1040 with only Schedule C on a phone for free.
Beyond
Crazy.
They're so, yeah.
Well, anyhow, I read it in some other school, thought it might be a good idea.
So Olive, we're busy, as you can see. I don't know if there's anything else you would like me to address.
Let's
or-
see. Any other comments from the council members? We've already taken care of the approval of the non-monetary meeting policy. And we have, we're just about on time to go on our tour. So nothing else needs to come before this group.
Motion.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting is adjourned.